Your main man is here. We're going to begin the first episode of a new Within the Ring of Fire saga. Now, this is going to be at Cycles In. We're going to be introducing to this channel a good friend of mine here for a good number of months. My buddy, David Breon. He's going to be running and flame tending this particular game. And this particular game is Within the Ring of Fire. You want to make sure that you get your copies now. Go to Drive-Thru RPG, order your physical copies, hardback, softback, sell PDFs there as well. You can hit your main man up directly to get a PDF bundle and save some money. You can join on Facebook, main man on Facebook. Right here on my channel is a direct link to that. Also on Facebook, we have a page, a community for Raw Immersive Games. That's the company right here of your main man. And we welcome you to come and talk about Within the Ring of Fire, talk about other RPG properties and products and your play style and so forth. We'd love to have more people on there. Currently, we have the first 3 books Within the Ring of Fire out in physical copy. We also have PDFs of the 4th book, Monsters and Men, that you can pick up directly from me. We're still in the process of hammering out getting the physical copies from Drive-Thru RPG, but those are hopefully going to be available very soon. We got Saga book. We got Fey Wine. The first novel is very helpful, and this has actually a lot of information about the particular area that this game is going to be taking place in. And you have 77 Throws of Theological Codex, which definitely for my catalyst has a good amount of information that is highly relevant and highly important. And Monsters and Men coming. Also follow me, your main man _RPG. And my vast antivirus has been updated. Your main man _RPG on Twitter. You get all the links. You want to give them the exact name of your channel there, Davey, so they can subscribe to your channel as well?
Sure thing. It's actually Davey Breon Jackson. I could spell it out for you, but it's probably easiest to find me. Just go to YouTube and look up Bring Back the Magic, and you'll see a bunch of vids that I have out there about various role-playing games. And I've had a lot of support out there. I'm just doing it for the community, not really doing it for the attention. So I love all the people that have subscribed and have listened to what I've said and commented.
Yeah, I definitely recommend your channel. I think it's absolutely an excellent channel, and I think you guys will really enjoy it. He does an excellent job, so make sure you go give him a link and hit the subscribe button. I'm sure you will. And I'm going to turn it over to you, our flame tender, so we can get the fires of imagination burning.
Okay. I'm going to start this out with information for you guys and for those that are going to video this and watch this later. For those who don't know, the world of Kavega Thal has 77 days, and this particular game is beginning at Cycles End. That is the name of this saga, and today is the 67th day, the day of starvation, and each day is the throne of one of the gods, and your location is the border of the blue ocean, an ocean of blue dust and sand, and bordering this area is a mountain range. You are now camped out in the mountains. You cannot see the ocean. You do not know what this blue ocean looks like, but a blue dust hangs in the air. Blue dust hangs on the equipment that you have where you're camped out. You've already been with the caravan for approximately 3 days now, all with your own personal thoughts, your own motivations. The caravan tender is goes by the name of Ebele, and Mr. Ebele is a Kalfar. He is a bastard race of 2 races blended together, and the best description that you can have for him is Amish. He has a thin beard down around his chops and around his chin and the bottom of his lip, and he talks in a very single-minded manner, very very elegant way. And he comes to you as you guys are gathering your food and gathering your equipment, and he sits down in a small fire. You're surrounded by large lizard-like beasts. And strapped on these beasts are all the food items, weapons, toys, tools, seeds, all the things that he's going to trade while transversing this mountain range on the border of the Blue Sea. And before you, it's a small fire surrounded by rocks. You're eating out of small bowls, eating the food items that you would normally have for your race. And although this caravan has about 6 or 7 of these large lizard pack animals, there are only a few of you. And he sits down to gesture to all of you, and he says, "Gentlemen, ladies, I am sorry that I have not had an opportunity to fully converse with you, but time is of the essence. It is at cycle's end, and I must maintain my schedule. No one else is brave enough or skilled enough to go along this journey. My family was normally the one who would go on this journey with me, and I need to understand why you are here, who you are, and what your story is, so that we may continue. I only say this not to pry to get into your personal relationships, but to understand your motivations and understand that we will need to work together to survive these last days and return home before the cycles end, for there is great danger for all of us." And this is an opportunity for you guys to introduce yourselves, give a little backstory, give me your names, and a few of your skills, hobbies, pastimes.
My name is Evil Lilithay, and I am a doctor of sorts. I've heard that strange plants grow in the Blue Sea that we are journeying to, and it is my desire to find some of these plants. I think that perhaps I can make some interesting medicines from these plants. As you see him sitting there, he's kind of a tall, swarthy-looking guy with like curly black hair. He's smoking from like a long pipe. Behind him, he has a massive backpack that, when you guys were riding on the riding to this point, you saw. Hold on. You saw the numerous vials and canisters, like jingling on his backpack. He has unusually light, smooth, violet skin, and he looks to be a human, but he does have these uncommon gray eyes. So yeah, bring on to the next person.
Okay.
My name is Carl. I am here because I wish to see more of the Bifnul, to stretch across this land, and maybe to the old land of my people, in Kertik. It is a pleasure to have gained such quality employment. I am sure I am a seamstress, a weaver, a repairer of garments by trade, taught to me by mother and father. Some long cycles past, and I am on my way to find my way through the world and in the world, and what better way to do that than the travel allowed by your caravan, your teams of Optalangs. Impressive, your opulence, well worth a name to travel upon the wind and in the dust, seeing the grandeur and splendor of all that lays before us is titillating and tantalizing to my senses. And to describe my character, I'll go ahead and hit the lower thirds. Actually, folks, let me see if this comes across for you guys.
Okay.
As you can see, the picture there might look familiar to some of you. If you have certain books. Now, pop the lower third in. He is not even 5.5 feet tall. Soaking wet, he cannot even come in at 100 pounds. Very thin, not a lot of muscle on him. The muscle he does have is not of any extreme toned nature. He has rough and calloused fingers. The fingers of someone who's worked in needle and cloth for many, many cycles. He seems to carry only about him a quarterstaff that has all sorts of strange carvings, well worked into the wood, and the wood seems ever so slightly stained red. He is a kitsune. They are a nearly extinct type of fairy, and they are similar in appearance to foxes, much as you can imagine a satyr is to a goat, kitsune are to foxes. They are the scions, descendants of the now dead god Qualix, and he is here perhaps to make his way into the world, or perhaps for more than he allows to be seen. And I will pass it along.
At the moment when we are asked for our names, proudly I stand, my right fist onto my chest. I am Tolek Duthum, and it's obvious to see that I am a pharam, equipped like a doctor myself. And then I look upon the human after seeing everything that he presented to me. I thought that I was the only doctor upon this journey.
Surely we can't have the same reasons for coming here. It's amazing. Where'd you hear about the strange plants of the blue ocean?
For the fact that you're a human, I look upon you with scorn and don't respond immediately. To describe my character fully, this pharam has red skin, almost ogre-like. The hair, the beard, and the braided long hair is a dirty blonde color. While the hair is very long, almost half his length, the beard is remarkably short for a pharam of his age, maybe only 5 cycles of growth. Also, this pharam is handsome in that there are no broken features upon his face, not many obvious marks of fighting, no scars, no broken nose, all teeth are there. Fairly fair to look upon, this pharam doctor. And then, again, when the human spoke up, mentioning his profession, I look upon him, really kind of human, amass any form of proper medical knowledge.
Yeah, it depends on what you call proper.
I don't even know, the proper forms of surgery.
My medicines can heal the body and expand the mind. Can your surgery do that?
It can indeed, and it can also stop disease before it spreads.
He crosses his arms in front of his chest and leans back and kind of stares at the pharam with a satisfied grin on his face, but he doesn't say anything more.
I do not return a satisfied grin, more a scowl. I am not yet impressed, and I doubt I ever will be.
Ebele, the Kalfar, stands. And his clothes, you can tell, his clothes are well worn, traveling clothes, but very well kept. When you see him getting together his clothing and getting together his pack supplies, he has an extreme amount of detail, making sure his buttons are nice and spit polished, making sure his facial hair is cut nice and short, and it seems to be a little bit of a family trait. In this, with you, are only 3 others. All 3 are his children. 2 sons, teenagers, and a daughter, maybe the equivalent of our modern day 9 or 10 years old. Kalfar are because of their mixed race, are very attractive. They have pointed ears. His skin seems to be pale despite a person who travels greatly through these mountain passes. And he stands and he says, I do not wish to have conflict in my group. You may have your own discussions as we we travel on, but we must gather food in our stomachs. It is the day of starvation, and I beg upon you that if you have not been here in these mountain passes before, the death of a god rips open the world, and all of us mere mortals will feel the power and the glory of their presence. We must never forget this. We must be prepared. You must eat heavy. When we go to the pass, you will understand why. And so the lizard-like creatures, some of you are leaning against them. They breathe heavy. They remind you of the bodies of crocodiles, wide and low to the ground, or maybe kimono dragons. But they just eat vegetable items, and they seem to be unmoved and unimpressed with your presence. But on day 67, there are only 12 hours of daylight, and so he impresses upon you all to gather together your items very quickly, because as the days go, there will be less daylight for us to travel, and therefore very dangerous. Okay. Other than the pack animals, each one of you is riding your own individual lizard. The pack animals, himself and his 3 children, are actually riding those. You each will be riding separately, ahead or behind this wagon train on your own lizard. Let's see, for Tulloch, you are riding on top of a very wide, heavy lizard that can handle your weight. It almost reminds you of what would be an earth dinosaur. Very wide, very slow, but armored skin. And for, am I pronouncing it Kwa?
Ka.
Ka?
Yeah.
Ka, you are riding on what seems to be a salamander. Skin is black, it's got red spots, very thin body. You're riding near its head, and its body seems to sway back and forth almost like a snake. And for, I'm trying to pronounce the name.
Evil. E-V-E-L, Evil.
Okay.
Evil? Yep.
Evol?
Evo.
Okay,
Evo.
Evo. Okay. You are riding on what seems to be a type of, and I do not remember the name of it. There's an Australian type of lizard. It has almost a fan effect on its head, and your legs are behind. You're riding in a position at its neck, and it's able to climb over rocks. You're not really certain why you're not all riding on these pack beasts, which can carry probably tons of equipment, but he makes it very apparent to you. So as you get together your supplies, kick out the fire, wipe off a little blue dust off of your belongings, you travel towards the mountain's edge, and you can see the blue skies ahead of you. And the lizard beasts make their way over a well-traveled path. And as you travel over this path, the horizon is in front of you, and the sunlight comes down. There's a soft breeze through this rocky valley, and when the pass opens up, you see nothing but blue, and it takes you back because the sky and the ocean seem to meet as one, as if the world drops off, and then you realize that this vast blue ocean is before you. In the air are small birds chirping, flocks flying around. You can even hear what sounds like the ocean waves as it crashes against the rocks. And as you spread out in front of this mountain pass and look down, you see that how unnatural this ocean looks, because it is made of sand and dust. And to your left and to your right, as far as the eye can see, this mountain pass seems to be sheared off as if claws or acid or the very nature of a godling that was killed destroyed this mountain pass, severing it off like a knife. And from where you stand, looking straight down, you see nothing but sheer rock. He says, Ebele says, this is a place of great wonder. Do not be hypnotized by it. Now, I do have a question. Do any of you have a very high piety score?
Absolutely not.
Not very high. I don't think what I have qualifies as very high.
Mine is 3.
Well, it's less than that.
Okay. All right. You do realize after he encouraged you to please eat some more, that being in the presence of this large ocean, you do feel like your stomach is grumbling. Like, I've just eaten half an hour ago or so, but on the day of starvation, in front of this wound to Kavega Thal, you do feel like there's something about it that this day, the very presence of this day is feeding into your soul, and your stomachs do feel like you do need to eat more now. And Ebele says, we will not be going into that. And he says, to the north, we will go along the mountain passes, and I urge you greatly. Our lizards are trained for these this pass. Trust them. They will not fail you. And unfortunately, you don't see anything solid. Literally, this well-worn path leads directly ahead of you into the ocean. There's nothing to the left or right. He takes the pack animal, leads its head, and it begins to walk across the rocky face, the blue ocean and sheer cliff to one side, and nothing but mountainous ranges to your right. To your left, cliff. To your right, nothing but rocks above you, and you are walking along sheer paths along a way that no mere mortal would ever want to go. Do any of you have any kind of animal skills with animals?
I do not.
I do not.
Okay.
I also.
Please. Okay. So hanging on for dear life, slowly and methodically, he begins making his way. And Ebele says to all of you, this is called the Razor's Pass. I am the one that has discovered this. And it is me that is bringing supplies to the people who live here on the edge of this scar on the world. So be reminded, do not cheat me. I pay well, and if you follow my lead, we will return home safely. That is all I ask. And he unconsciously, he taps a small change purse on his side, filled with silver diamond-shaped coins that he always keeps near him, and he handles in his fingers. So the lizards walk along, going along the mountain pass. Here and there, a small rock, pebble will tumble off the side, off this sheer cliff, down into the sands below. Every once in a while, a breeze will blow by, and like crashing waves, this blue sand will rise up and spray you, sending dust into the crevices of your clothing, into your saddle, into your pouches. Simply just brushing it off is good enough, but it is a very strange feeling. You travel along for a day's time, and above you, you do realize that over time, sand has collected into crevices and small concave locations, spilling down above your head, spilling down in a path. He says, wait. This blue sand spills down between you, between the legs of the lizards, spilling out into the ocean. Then it stops. He says, let us go. You travel on. Do any of you have any perception or any bonuses to your perception?
I have a
Please.
perception of 1 grade, and I also have the Forte smell.
I have 1 grade
Okay.
in perception myself.
I have 1 grade in perception as well.
Okay. I'll have all of you roll your perceptions.
Okay. What type of percent? It's not a smell check, I think.
No, it is not.
Okay. Safe to ask.
A total of 14. Oh wait,
Ooh.
okay. 15.
15. Okay.
I got 12.
Makeshift table here. Give me a second to roll. I didn't do quite well. Actually, hold on. I didn't actually do well.
No problem.
14.
Okay. As you're traveling along, and Eboli completely ignores it, you see along the path that there are these small trinkets. They look like gold coins wrapped in some kind of wire mesh or metal, no larger than a finger. They are on the ground. This is not a flat route you're taking. They are just pieces of rock jutting up into the sky, and the pack animals are literally climbing over the rocks, paw by paw, claw by claw. But in between the rocks, please.
The moment you say that we see pieces of golden stuff below us, my eyes go wide, and then immediately I do my damnedest to look away and stop thinking about it.
Okay. Depending on your willpower, you do see one after another, and they seem to be placed regularly.
I would like to.
If anyone notices, I find that highly annoying.
Yeah,
Okay.
Ebel is so he's clinging so tightly to his beast of burden that he wouldn't dare lean over far enough to reach for some coins, because he thinks that if he does, he's gonna just fall right off and go straight down the sheer cliff. So he holds on tight to his animal, and for the most part, he ignores the gold coins. He doesn't seem very interested in the precious metals or anything like that.
I don't even attempt to reach at them. I look away as much as I can. I don't want to know that they are there.
I am going to make sure I move as far away from them as possible, taking a look down at them. A slight distaste crosses my countenance for but a moment as I glance at these and continue to move along, trying to stay as far away from them as possible. I do have a description question for you, though, now that I'm speaking.
Okay, please.
The Colfars, all you mentioned was their skin was pale. Like what their skin color ranges, fuchsia, pink, salmon, hot pink, plum, purple, lavender, violet. What sort of, even grayish sometimes? What sort of skin tone do they have besides it being pale?
His skin tone is more towards a salmon color, pink salmon, and as well as his children. And you notice that his oldest son is the one that most closely resembles him in both look and behavior, wanting to take after his father, with a thin beard around his chin, keeping his clothing, wearing whatever his father is wearing that day, and standing next to him when he has the opportunity and listening to what he has to say. His other two children, the middle son, seems to essentially be bored. He's in his own world. He does his own thing. He seems to be whittling on a piece of wood, not even controlling the pack animal. He's just sitting back with his legs crossed, sitting on top of it, as if he's done this plenty of times and this is nothing new to him. and the daughter, although dressed similarly, is wearing a cloak, and her cloak is pulled up very closely over her head, where you barely see her nose and chin underneath. She also has a salmon tinge to her skin, but you gather there's some animosity between the rest of the family and her. She doesn't get close to them. They don't. The father hasn't even gestured towards her and did not introduce the daughter to the rest of you.
Does any of them look even interested in any way to be out here or on this particular trip?
No, they actually seem to be comfortable would be the closest word that they've done this run before. Ebele is quite proud of the fact that no one else is willing to dare this run, and feels that his duties are necessary to bring supplies and to bring trade goods to those that live at the border of the Blue Sea.
Okay.
Okay. As you travel along, approximately 8, 9 of these coins, you see them placed regularly, maybe hundreds of feet apart, but they seem to be placed strategically would be a better term for it. And he turns back to you and he says to you, Tulloch, he says, our first stop will be one of your kind. Do not dally too long. We have very few days. So, as you're traveling along this sheer cliff, he turns inward what looks to be between 2 large clefts in the rock, almost as if a great axe had split the rock in half, and you cannot see after the pack animal turns between the rock. As you follow suit and turn through this pass, you realize that there is essentially no bottom to this cleft. The pack animals must spread their legs wide and move across this angled cleft in the rock as it narrows down hundreds of feet below you. You can reach your arms out side to side, touching each side, but below you it goes straight to the bottom, and you see blue dust hundreds of feet below you gathering at the bottom of this cleft. And the animals move slowly. Please.
As we go to that cleft, do I see any like moss or anything growing on the rocks? Because now at this point they're like arm reachable. So.
Yes, that is correct. Not this close to the blue ocean, but you do see that he is making his way towards a location, and you see what seems to be out of place, but trees and greenery, shrubs, and vegetable matter, vines. Okay. You come across out of the cleft and into a large opening, and in this opening it's almost like a natural valley. There's blue dust in this valley, and poking out of the dust are trees, trees with fruits, vines coming down the sides of the wall. It is a vast bowl, and in this bowl are 4 small caves, large enough for a human being, not really large enough for one of the pack animals to enter into. These caves are very shallow. From standing in the bottom of the bowl, you can look up into what is essentially something carved out of the walls. And anyone familiar with carvings or generally with pharam skills in dealing with rock, that this is what has been created for a home for the race is known as the pharam. And this valley is large enough, this bowl is large enough for all the animals to fit, for all of you to fit in. And Ebele comes over to you and he says, come quickly. Please, all of you, let's gather our supplies. And he goes over to one of the pack animals and starts opening it up, and without even looking, he's just grabbing supplies out and handing it over his shoulders to the first person that's next to him. Small sacks, canvas sacks filled with something.
Evil seems very.
Take it, I guess.
Yeah, Evil seems very eager to get into the alcove, and once he does, he'll gladly take a sack. He seems to be happy to finally be to where they need to be going.
Okay. You notice that when you grab the sack, that it must be filled with some kind of light, maybe metal pieces of something, not coin, but it's filled with metal, maybe some kind of orbs or chunks or broken items. But they fill these sacks, and the sacks are large enough to carry, and they seem to be lightweight. Okay. Ebony stands in the center of the valley, and he yells out. He says, "Venek! Venek, are you here?" And poking a head out of one of these small caves is a pharam. His beard is long. His hair is matted and dusty, and you see from his nose and where his mustache is located that it is stained blue from breathing in the blue dust of this ocean and breathing in the dust of this small valley. And he goes, "Hey, my friend Ibali, you bring others!" And he comes rushing down these natural stone steps from his small haven and runs to meet him. And although they are awkward in size, the pharam much shorter than Ebali, they hug, and he says, "Good to see you, good, good, good." And in his hand is one of these small coins with metal wrapped around it. And when you look closer, it actually looks like a small figure with the body being a coin and the arms, legs, and head being like wire, almost like a child's toy. And he has one, and he holds it out to Eboli, and Eboli kind of holds very as polite as he can, stands back, and he's like, "No, no, no, my friend, I have enough. No, thank you." And the pharam kind of looks down, and he looks at the rest of you, and he says, "Will one of you take this with you?" And he holds his two hands out in front of him with a small coin and a humanoid body made out of handcrafted out of metal wire around this golden coin.
I pull my beast back slightly, having no interest in any touching of these things. For a moment, a look of disgust passes over my face as I pull back, looking both disgusted, of course, at the despicable pharam, and more so at his treasure.
Okay.
You go ahead.
Yeah, in the process of dismounting my big armored lizard, I look upon their obvious affection with. It looks weird to me. Okay. And then I see him offering offering gold, and then I immediately look away again. Even I would see also a bit of disgust and no, as I put on a backpack that it's basically a crate-like backpack onto my back after I've dismounted, and do my damnedest not to look at the pharam in the face.
So what? First, I have a question. What language were they speaking?
Oh, I apologize. He's actually speaking. Where is the language? He's speaking Janten, which is kind of it's a pidgin language of almost slang. It's kind of vulgar.
So when Evil starts speaking, he'll notice that his Janten seems seems very practiced, seems very natural as he speaks. He's going to edge his beast forward as best as he can. He doesn't seem very comfortable riding it, but he does approach. When he gets close, he's going to ask him, Jansen, is this a charm?
He says, "Traveler, this coin represents a people. I only ask that they be released. It is my job. It is my duty to honor my fallen friends and family. Please take it. Someone, please take them. They must be free of this place."
He smiles and he says, and though he wasn't very interested in those gold coins back, he seems very intrigued by the meaning that this pharam has put inside this trinket. And so he actually is going to dismount his horse. He's going to take the charm, with a bit of ceremoniously. Like he's going to, take it in both hands and kind of like make a short, whatever gesture that he that seems appropriate, whether it's a bow or it's a head nod. He's going to make sure that the pharam knows that he's very thankful for this. And he says, I'm very touched that you would give us something like this. I was very frightened at how you guys live all the way out here, but it seems wonderful that such nice people have grown out of such a turbulent environment.
You grab the coin from him. He just shoulders. You do take it?
Yep.
Okay. His shoulders seem to slump, and he's like, "Thank you, fellow traveler." And he like smacks you on the shoulder quite roughly, and he says, "Everyone, come, follow me, follow me." And he turns his back.
Shoulder. He's like,
He turns and, without looking back, walks back up into his little haven. And Ebele is like kind of like rolls his eyes. And he's like, looks at you guys, and kind of under his breath, he's like, "We have business to attend to. We cannot afford to speak to this man. He will hold you here for days. Do not be pulled in. Time is money."
You kind of he's like, Ebel's very like off put by that, but he just nods his head and gets back on his beast and does as he's told.
I have a question that's sort of similar to what Wendell said earlier. What language does he typically address us in? Because my character doesn't speak Jansen, although I do speak as a Zaze, so I could pick up a word or two, but I certainly couldn't follow that language.
Oh, yes. He is the initial language that all of you were relating to as far as Ebele goes. He does speak Janten and seems to use this language with this gentleman, and maybe using it as a trade language along this route. He also speaks Patash and Tul.
Tahulian?
Tahulian, yes.
I do speak Tahulian, so that would be how I'd have to communicate with him. I don't. Just as a quick aside, obviously our Pharam friend speaks Tahulian. Wendell, does your character speak Tahulian?
He does not actually speak Tahulian.
So what language do you speak?
Helganese, Janten, Moolish, Sindarian, and Thuban.
Okay, all right. I speak Moolish as well. Do you speak Moolish, Tolkien?
Moolish.
You say yeah?
Yeah, I speak.
Okay, all right. So that's a language we all.
Yeah,
Good.
okay.
Okay.
Moolish. And Tahulian.
And Tahulian?
So yeah, Cause
Not too
confused about what's transpired is quite a few words have been passed in languages he doesn't fully understand. But I mean, I have no desire to really talk to a Pharam anyway. Knowing their disposition is foul little creatures, and they're obviously about 3 times my size in terms of weight, so I don't want any trouble with it. So I just kind of smile and look vaguely pleasant as allow them to transpire.
Yeah, this Calvar tells us not to stay here because this film will obviously keep us here. Is look at him and responding in Janten, but I have no interest in speaking with this Pharam, and in his wasteful ways. Just gives gold away, apparently. And I look upon the human like, "Ah, no."
Okay. As Venick, this seems to be a lone pharam, walks away, climbs the natural stone steps into his haven, and Eboli, the Calfar, follows him, and he travels up the steps, gesturing for you guys to please bring the packs of supplies that he had handed to each of you. And he follows the pharam into his little small cave.
How heavy is the pack?
I'm sorry?
How heavy is the pack?
It's not very heavy at all.
Okay.
Although you do...
6 strength, that's why I asked. Only 6.
Yes. It's large but not very heavy, and surprisingly, it feels like there are metallic pieces of something maybe broken on the inside of it. And so for its size, it actually is quite light.
Alright.
Okay. Well, he follows the pharam inside the haven, and like I said, this is not a cave system. It's basically something carved out of the rock. And you can see this looks to be there's a small place to sleep. It wouldn't even be close to a bed. It's just tree branches and leaves crisscrossed in a matting on one side of the room, and on the other side is nothing but a pile of gold. There are yes, a pile of gold, maybe hundreds of pieces stacked above the ankle, maybe to the knee, and before this pile of gold there's a small stool and looks like a set of jeweler's tools in front of it, and there are pieces of wire and castings, and it looks as if he is using wire, mesh, or metal to wrap each one of these gold coins.
The moment I see that giant pile of gold, I drop whatever packing I had on me and I turn and walk out of the room. I go, no.
Okay.
My face looked like I was about to puke at the sight of it. Just walk out with a angry face, but not caring what anyone thinks.
I'd stay far away from the gold, and I'd bring the pack in, and I'll look towards the Calfar and kind of shake the pack to add him a little.
Did Kai grab Idolek's pack?
No.
Just now? Okay. Oh, if not, Evel will grab his and just follow Kai. He doesn't seem either very much repulsed or driven away by the pile of gold.
The pharam Venick turns, snatches a random piece of gold from the floor, and goes to the mouth of the cave to look for Tulloch. It's only a few steps. And he says, "Why do you run?" And he takes the gold and throws it randomly in your direction, Tulloch. And he says, "That is the legacy of our people."
I do not want it. I looked back at him with fury in my eyes. Like, my face would say like he's throwing feces at me or something like along the lines.
I'm going to scamper away from them. I do not want to be caught in the crossfire of these violent monsters.
Stop it! I almost shout towards this pharam, this obviously deranged hermit.
Evel watches, unsure of like the entire custom of these people, but he does watch the confrontation with somewhat interest.
Okay. Venick crosses his arms, puffs his wide, broad chest in front of him, and looks at each of you, and he says, "My people have suffered greatly here at the ocean's edge. Each and every one of these coins is stained with the blood of my people. I will stay here and make sure their legacy lives on, if for no other reason than to bring a smile on the face of a small child. Thank you for coming. Let's conduct this business, but if I will not be respected, you can leave now.
Look him in right in the face after what he just did to me and say, "And I will," and promptly walk out.
I cock my eyebrow watching in curiosity and confusion as to what the animosity between these strange little stumpy men is.
Mm.
He says, so peculiar.
Ebony kind of pulls you aside. Damn, Wendell. I forgot your character's
Evelyn.
name.
Yes, Evelyn.
Okay. And he kind of pulls you aside and speaks into your ear, and he says, he won't leave the valley. His people were mining these mountains for generations, digging this gold. Many perished. He won't leave. So, please, tell your friend to be kind to him. Please. We have business. We will leave out of here soon, and we will be on our way.
I'll do my best, but I don't think I have any particular sway with that pharam. He doesn't seem to like me very much. But I will talk to him. It is important that we can move out of this location quickly. I feel bad a little bit, you know. I wish there was something more I could do for these people, but I can't bring people back from the dead, unfortunately.
Well,
so, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Ebony grabs one of the sacks and opens it up, and inside of it, he opens up the sack, and the pharam grabs it quickly and upends it, grabs it by the end and dumps it on the ground. And you can see that there's nothing but like broken pots, hammers that were broken, tools, toys. Each one of these things having little bits and pieces of metal in them that are completely useless in small amounts. But apparently this pharam is harvesting the metal out of a broken plate, harvesting metal out of a broken tool or a toy, or what's left of a rotted, pitted weapon. That is completely useless, and seems to be using these metals to form these wire mesh, essentially totems or toys. And he seems to be giddy when he sees it. It's like, oh yes, and he grabs a handful of his toys and hands them over to Ebony, and he takes them and he puts them in the sack very quickly, and offers the pharam some of his silver coins. And you see, Ebony reaches into his pouch, pulls out a handful of these silver, like diamond-shaped coins, and the pharam shakes his head, holds his hands up as if to, puts his head down. No, thank you, and takes the essentially debris and trash from this Kalfar.
And so Evil immediately feels like a gut reaction to this because he knows that there's something wrong here. He feels like he's a part of some kind of system that's taking advantage of this hermit pharam. But he doesn't say anything because he did say that he was going to not interfere with the Kalfar's business. So he stays silent as he watches this, but you can tell by the expression on his face that he's troubled a bit by what he's seeing.
Okay. Well, you do know that the Kalfar has basically traded what is essentially debris for probably maybe 80 to 100 pieces of gold, and in exchange, and fills these like gold totems, these gold toys, into these sacks, and as the pharam dumps each one out and fills one, he goes and hands you, Qua, a sack and says, "Gestures for you to take it back to one of the pack animals."
He tries to hand me a sack of gold.
Yes.
This is how I see the scene coming. He walks over to me as I'm kind of looking out at the straps, not noticing him, and then he takes the gold. I slowly start reaching for it, and he sort of releases, and then I notice what he has, and I leap back, pressing back to the wall, recoiling in utter disgust, and my eyes wide, offense playing out upon my face for a moment before I restrain my features, and I begin to scamper away from him. My eyes wide, my large orange eyes wide, staring at him in almost horror for a moment before my composure returns quickly.
Ibley isn't exactly upset by it. He's more just frustrated, like, we must get over our petty differences. We have so many. How can I say? Please forgive me, but we fear the gods so much. We fear that. Please, it is nothing but an old man's wish. Let us take these items and leave. And instead he does grab the sack that you recoiled away from, and he says, as he walks past you guys down the steps, he says, "I expect 4 sacks of gold." And he walks back to the pack animals and hands them to his children, who proceed to strap them onto the large lizard pack animals.
Oh, that's Evelyn. Well, I suppose you'll be taking them then, and I'm going to scamper out. I'm not picking up any of these sacks, not by a long shot. I am quite interested as to the reaction of the pharam, and I am going to approach him probably from behind, maybe, as kind of see it playing out in a very light foot.
I'm going to approach Emily, but we can do that after.
Yeah,
you'll find me outside the cave opening, my arm on my crate-like backpack, just looking towards the blue sand, and it looks like I just was about to throw up. Just standing there, calming my stomach, and
all of you are aware, if you have a sense of value, that this Kalfar is by far taking advantage of this situation, having a relationship with Vinnick, this hermit pharam.
Well, I know, but I am not feeling any sympathy. I'm currently just only concerned with my own this situation.
This does not surprise me in any way, shape, or form, other than the fact that the pharam was willing to part with gold. That, from what my character heard, is unlikely. So he's a bit puzzled by that, and I'm going to sidle up beside Tulloch.
Okay.
Quietly, you might not even hear my small form there. I kind of pull slightly on my quilted jerkin, and I say, into Julian, Tulloch, might I entreat a word?
Looking behind. What do you want?
Quick question: does your character have any grades of intimidate?
I do not. I do have a grade in attractive, so I'm fairly fair to look upon.
Good looking firm. Okay, all right. I just didn't know. This is where you're playing. I wasn't sure if you had intimidate. I was going to sell for you if you did. All right. So I say, and I seem to be ever so slightly skittish. Not to a fault, but slightly, as I'm, probably way a third of what you do, and we are on a high vantage point. I say, I noticed that you had a poor reaction to the, and I'm saying this quite low and close to you, to the item that he offered. Is this Uh, is there a value of taking or something of such nature?
What do you mean? It's gold.
I thought that your species liked the blood of Ahura Mazda. Am I mistaken?
Like you just stepped on the sorest of toes on me. I just look at you. We do, but I do not.
I jump about 4 feet directly back. Um,
Hmm.
my apologies. I did not mean to add vigor to a wound. Uh, but if apologies, I have pried where I should not have and stepped into something I should not have. I merely thought it a point of interest to better understand you. I am, though conversant in the tongue of your people, not overly knowledgeable about your culture, and I thought perhaps I had heard something that was untrue, and I'm always interested to correct my understanding of things that are not true.
Hmm. The very present that you asked him makes me want to quit the conversation as soon as possible, looking at you, talking, stop talking, stop talking. And I put my crate-like backpack on me again and look very eager to get away from here, especially from this film. Just look in again.
I will move away from Pollock as he does seem to have been angered, which I find not conducive to my well-being. So I slide away from him and speak to him no longer.
I'm wanting to try to approach Eboli, carrying the gold sacks with him back to. I guess he's approaching the area with all the beasts of burden, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So that I'm gonna help him carry his gold, but like while the gold trinkets, but while I'm doing that, I'm gonna get up close to him and like, hey man, don't you think we're taking advantage of a sick man? Obviously, he's gone through some incredible trauma. Perhaps we could leave him some food or something. I don't see how just leaving him trash is going to help him. He's a sick man.
Wendell, are you speaking Janton to him?
I am speaking Janton to him.
Making sure I don't want to be knowledgeable of information I shouldn't be.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And he says back in Janton, back to you. He says, "Believe me, I'm a businessman, and I want to supply great wealth to my family, but he will not take what I offer him. This is what he wants. I give all of my customers what they want, and in return, they give them to me. If he's unaware of the value, that is not my problem. But I will tell you this, to appease your guilt, he is the last of his kind. He is the last of his family and his tribe. We are going to visit the hanging city of Kryn, and I do not wish for this group to be dismantled by my business practices, if you understand what I am telling you.
I made an agreement to not get in the way of your business practices, and I do not intend to. But I cannot, in good conscience, leave that man here to die and work for nothing and to be taken advantage of. There's something we must be able to do for him before we leave. Perhaps allow me to spend some time with him tonight and talk to him. Surely we must make camp before we move on.
If you are in a quest to solve this man's problems, I will tell you what he wants. He wants vengeance. Vengeance for the people that died mining that gold, that pile of gold. Every single one of those pieces marked by the blood of his people. We will see those people that are responsible for this, for I have business dealings with them. If you want to take vengeance on them, why, be my guest. We will be there in a day or two. But believe me, these are people you do not want to harm. They are Vaigish.
Oh.
And Do any of you have any any kind of cultural skills to know who or what the Vaigish are?
I wouldn't have even been able to understand that because I don't speak Jantan.
I have a grade in academics.
History goes in
okay.
academics, correct?
I'll give that to you. The Vaigish are extremely militant. They have no noses. Their noses are almost crushed flat to their faces, almost like a bat.
Yeah.
And they have very long, pointed ears. And from what you know, their entire mission in life is to place the entire world under their thumb, under their control in a military state.
So my character kind of recoils in fear, and he clearly he's aware of who the Vaigish are, and he knows what they can do. And it's clear that he doesn't want to trifle with them, and that's what you can gather by the expression on his face.
Okay.
But you're not sure if you dissuaded him from inquiring to try to help this downtrodden, clearly sick individual. Perhaps that is not the wisest choice. Still, if I can, I'd like to speak to him and perhaps learn his story so that the sacrifices of him and his family can perhaps be recorded and perhaps live on even after him.
Okay. This lone pharam has already ignored your presence. He's sitting down on a stool, bent forward, grabbing a coin and using pliers and his fingers and his teeth to slowly wrap this wire around these coins, forming intricate but kind of childish arms and legs and head. Taking his time, looking at it, rebending wire, kind of grunting to himself, forcibly pulling the coin out of the wire, pulling the wire into a long straight strip again and doing it all over again, seeming to want to make each one perfect. It's not a quantity, it's a quality thing, as he's working with his hands and his teeth and kind of bending the wire and then using his teeth to bend like copper wire, and then he uses pliers and bends it in another circle and tries to make a neck and then the head, and but he's talking under his breath as you speak to him. He's half distracted in his in his endeavors.
Okay. So instead of immediately saying something and trying to talk to him, upon getting close to him, I realize his focus, and I see the dedication that he's giving to his art. And I sit down next to him and I just watch him for a while. I observe him. I try to get a sense of why he's doing it, the energy that he's doing it with, and I kind of reconcile the fact that there may not be anything that I can do for this pharam, but something comes to mind, and I pull out the trinket that he gave me upon our first arrival, and I just say in Jantan, can you tell me about this one? Because I realize that these are important to him, and there's a lot of thought going into the creation of each individual one, and I'm pretty sure that he can recognize what particular trinket this is and what it represents, and I hope that perhaps that can rouse him from his focus.
When you bring the trinket into his line of sight, his eyes light up, and he's like, "Oh, that is Lagar. I remember that one. I made that so many cycles ago."
Tell me about Lagar. He must have been a great guy.
Yeah, he was a great uncle. It's been so long. I was only a child. I could barely pick up a hammer and chisel at the time, but the Vaigish had us all enslaved, and we worked day and night to build that damnable fortress on the edge of this blue ocean of dust. And to think, after all of my people suffered under the hands of those evil Hobbs, that they no longer exist. The entire fortress fell into the ocean. No doubt sucked down by the death of a god that wishes us all dead.
Yes, the gods haven't done me many favors as well, but there's a place where I think you may be able to see your family again. When you sleep, if you sleep, when you close your eyes at night, you will fall into a dream state, and here's where all your wishes can come true. And if you wish to see your family again, if you wish to see their faces, you may do it in the dreamlands. Please tell me, if you wish, tell me about the rest of your family. And I point to the trinkets that he's built already, and I pull out my notebook, the one that I use to write down information about plants and herbs that I find. I turn a page to a fresh page, and if he decides to, and if he starts talking, I'm just going to start writing the names down of his family and making sure I'm recording that. And then at the end of it, I tell him, if I come across those who enslaved you, if I can, I will make them know the names of your family. And I'll make them know the suffering that you felt. And hopefully, you can share a pipe with me, and perhaps this can bring you just a little peace. And so he takes out the pipe that you guys saw him smoking this throughout the trip. He has a collection of leaves that are dried and kept in a clay vial on his large backpack, and he takes that out, and he's gonna pack the pipe with a few of those fresh leaves. And he's going to. Is there any fire around, like a flame or open flame anywhere, like this as a source of light?
Yes, there is. It is in his small cave.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna take a small piece of wood from my pack and use that to get some flame to light the pipe. And I'm gonna take an inhale, exhale, and the vapors that he exhales are starry, and a look of peace comes over Evel, and he hands the pipe to the pharam to see if he'd like to partake.
Oh, he's more than willing.
Okay.
As you were writing down the information, he starts. In the beginning, he was a little nervous, but he just starts recounting name after name.
And Evel seems like legitimately interested to learn about these people, who these people were to him, and he hopes that by sharing like he is, and by sharing that experience and sharing those memories, he hopes that he's bringing some form of solace or just a little bit of peace to this man, or to this pharam, excuse me.
It actually, you do feel like you've succeeded, because as you start to talk to him, he puts down the jeweler's tool. He's got the coin in his hand as he was messing with the wire. He's talking with you, and he's bending it, and then he just sets it down and just starts to, like, kind of has this look of whimsy on his face, like just reminiscing, like
Let me know
almost.
if you'd like me to roll her apothecary roll for this or anything. Okay. But if you want, it's up to you.
Please do.
Okay. Hopefully I don't roll double ones. Oh, okay, that's not too bad. So it's 11 plus. So Barber's is 3, so it's 14 with focus and apothecary, so that is 15.
Wow. And for those of you who don't know, one of the rules in the game is if you roll 5 or more, you boost your roll. You have a greater. Your effect is greater for each time that you boost in your roll. So for every 5 that you beat the difficulty by, you have a greater effect. So yes, you did. You absolutely boosted on this roll.
Okay.
And he says to you, more or less saying to you, and he's saying this almost to himself. And he says, beware when you get to the hanging city of Kryn. Our people traveled there very often. We were bought and sold by the Vygish and the ogre king that lives in the dragon's mouth. Those were some bad times when I was just a small child.
He repeats Ogre King that lives in the dragon's mouth. He says it, and it's almost like he's never heard of anything like that, and he's kind of mesmerized by just the image that brings up in his mind. He connects ogres with ferocity and dragons with just... He's never seen a dragon. It's only been something of legend and lore to him, so he can't imagine what he's referring to when he says Ogre King that lives in the mouth of the dragon. But he's focused, and he's like writing stuff down and focused on the pharam as he speaks.
He recounts to you the tale, and you do gather that he must have been very young when this happened, almost like a child, and that these coins are symbols of his childhood, like a familiar toy, and using each of these coins represents a member of the family, member of the clan, even just a person who sharpened axes, a person who came by and gave everyone soup. And if that was all he knew about them, it seems that his mission is to represent every one of these coins as a member of his tribe or family, extended family. And they're all, according to his knowledge, they're all dead.
Shit. So okay, so the effect, the intended effect of the plants that they burn together, it's not just a feeling of peace, but when he goes to sleep that night, he's going to drift, at least somewhat, partially, into the first layer of the dreamlands, and he's going to hear the echoes of all the people who dreamed, and that's everyone. He's gonna see the faces of his family, the people that he met on maybe on the side of the road, working the gold, maybe the person who taught him how to work these metal wires. He's gonna see his family. He's gonna see his people. He's gonna see their faces in his dreams. He's gonna have a very restful sleep, and that's the extent of the intended effect of the plants that they burn.
Okay. As he seems to, he heads over to his small bed, just made out of crisscross leaves and twigs. He reaches up to the head of his bed, and there you can see there looks like what seems to be a small clay pot of sorts, maybe something almost like an apothecary's mortar and pestle, where you take dried leaves and crush them with a small handle. And he goes over to it, takes his dirty fingers, reaches into it, grabs it up, takes a leaf, rolls a glob of what looks like blackened goo, rolls it inside of it, and hands it to you. But he wraps it up nice so that it's not gooey on your fingers, but it's the goo on the inside. Hands it to you.
Yeah, so he takes the wrapping and he asks in Janton, what substance is this?
He says, I know not where you go, but if you see those who suffer from the inky eyes, please, my suggestion is to use a little bit of this in your friends. It is a balm against such a strange and nasty disease.
He thanks the pharam profusely, and even goes so far as to attempt to hug him. Is that a common gesture? I don't know if that's a common gesture. If it's not, whatever gesture is commonplace. Probably not a very normal thing for a human to hug a pharam, but if that's still a common gesture of affection, Evil will try to hug the pharam. in thanks.
He's a little taken aback. He doesn't recoil from you, but when you hug him, he hugs you back much harder, and he lingers there a heartbeat or two longer than would be comfortable because he just seems to be very thankful. And
Yeah,
he immediately
Neville smells of lavender and smoke. Yeah, that's one thing he'll notice. What does a pharam smell like?
he smells of earth and potatoes and yes.
Okay, can you repeat to me what the disease was? I'm writing it down. What the name of that was? Black
He
eye.
called it inky eyes,
Inky eyes. Okay.
as
And,
in
so,
bottled.
yeah, Evil's gonna, unless I can roll to know what that is, Evil is gonna assume that whatever, affliction this is has something to do with your eyes looking inky. But what can I roll for that to figure out what that is exactly?
If you or if you'd like to let anybody else know what this, you probably need academics or I would even say skill in I would even say a barber skill if you're familiar with
barber
with the dead.
apothecary. Yeah, is what I have.
Apothecary,
I have forte in a apothecary. Yeah.
Make a roll just to see how much you do know about it. You know some basic.
Oh, that's a jack to me. I got 1 and an 8, so it's just an 8, I believe. That's the correct thing. And so it's 11 with just a grade in barber, but if you factor in apothecary, the forte in apothecary, it's a 12. 11 or 12.
Close. You do know that he's referring to a disease that literally the symptom is that a black, almost inky-like disease creeps into the body, and it's visible in the eyes, and eventually it clouds over the entire eye, making the person go blind.
Ooh, okay. So yeah, he's very thankful.
And it is a disease.
All right. So I'm gonna thank the pharam again, and I'm gonna leave him to his sleep because I know that he has a great restful sleep ahead of him. I'm gonna go back to the pack area to join everyone else.
All right, I want to make sure that now he's been inside for some time with the pharam inside his foul little pharam hole. Now we have been outside of this hole, out on the road or ledge or whatever you want to call it at this juncture.
Correct.
And I am staying a good bit away from the non-conversational Tulloch. I have no particular desire to earn a large meaty hand to the side of my head. Well, I stay away from him, but I do keep an eye on him as he is irrational and erratic, of a low-born scum of sort of people. So I will keep an eye on him, but I won't go out and extend any trust to his iron-born ways. I will spend a little time working on some slight repairs to the hem of my pants with needle and thread, and just sort of sitting out there waiting for us to move on. In fact, actually, I will say, and I believe you said that he speaks to Julian, was it, the Calfar?
Yes, he does.
I'll say to him and to Julian for the benefit of the other pharam. So are we to head towards this this next stop on this eve, or are we going to be making arrangements for slumber? What is your desire, Caravan Master?
The Calfar, Ibali, says, well, I dare not make camp here. This is not the location that I would prefer. I say we travel along until night's end. Believe me, this is a sight you will absolutely want to see.
As you say.
Okay. He gathers the items.
I was going to say to him, I was going to say one more thing.
Please.
Did
Please.
you sell the human to him? I see that.
I can't understand that, so I don't have any response.
No, I said that before you've come back, because you're gone for a long time. I just say to him,
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming he didn't give him very much. There were words spoken that I didn't understand. It seems to be reasonable. He might have sold you along with the garbage for all that gold.
Awesome. The Evilly says, apparently our human here is sentimental, to say the least.
Oh.
But I will give him credit. I do feel some sympathy for our lone pharam here, and I will miss his presence, if nothing for these very attractive dolls that he creates, I suppose. But let's be on our way. And so he gathers. He purposefully gathers the sacks of golden coined trophies and places them on his pack animal, and rouses his kids who are busy punching each other in the shoulder, and says, "Let us go." And so, as you pack your belongings and you leave out, you have to go back out of this valley, and the only, other than climbing up these long walls in this more shaped like a bowl, there's a big crack in it. The lizards must literally spread their legs between this cleft in the valley, for there is no floor in this cleft to get to him, which makes him very protected in this valley. And the pack animals, the salamanders, the lizards, the chameleon-like creatures crawl along, and of course ahead of you is this vast blue ocean. You turn to your right, and again, crawling along these jagged rocks, each paw and each claw grabbing methodically as you travel along. And do any of you, or would any of you know what a dragon looks like? Or would even have a mythology that would represent what a dragon would look like?
No. I think maybe my character might have heard of a dragon, but like besides that, no.
Okay.
I would have some vague degree of knowledge, particularly for the absolute dragons. I do have high theology, but not, and that's what dragons are coming under. But not.
It would be a theology role to.
I have
think
one
about
grade
dragons.
theology, so I doubt I know anything.
I have theology if you want me to roll it.
Yes, please.
Okay.
And then theology would be appropriate for this as well.
I got a 13.
I got a 16.
I also have a 16. 16 on theology.
Please. Okay.
16.
All right. Both of you are well aware that in Kavega Thal, this world and everyone that's in it is, whether your belief is fanatical or you don't care, every day of your life is affected by the gods. With the killing of the god Ishmi by I forgot the name. The name. I wrote it down too. There it is. Liptif. I apologize. Loptif. It's Loptif. Loptif. There we go. By the killing of Ishmael and the scar upon the world, that many pilgrims have traveled to the edge of the blue ocean to commune with the gods, to seek penance, to sacrifice their lives, to sacrifice the lives of many. But no one has returned from the blue ocean or even its border. And there is a great chance that you will find pilgrims, maybe even a temple, possibly even a cult dedicated to the various gods in this realm, because it is so close, despite the Ishmael being killed and destroyed in 68 days of this weird acid blue rain that destroyed this part of the world, that this is the largest, grandest piece of the gods that exists on this world, and that if for no other reason than to beseech them and to save their lives, or even to ask for the destruction of the world, many pilgrims have come here over the years seeking this path, but none have returned. So,
looking out upon this blue desert and having the knowledge of Ishmi and her death, I look upon it and I smile for the first time on my journey thus far, because her death gives me nothing but pleasure.
At this point, if oh, he's not back yet. There he is. At this point,
I've only been like 2 feet away, man. I'm like,
oh, okay, cool.
Right here.
Sorry, I feel you. At this point, all of you gather look for your combat stats.
Combat.
Oh, snap.
Okay. For as you leave this valley and travel along, blue dust starts pouring and raining down above your heads, and the smell of what seems to be rot and the motion of skittering small creatures alerts each of you as you glance at each other and look around you. And
What was that?
above you, dust starts to rain down upon you, and you see on a ridge above your heads small creatures, beady eyes, ears extremely long, almost as long as their faces. They have talons, and they are no larger than they are small feral creatures, maybe no taller than a human's waist, and they look down upon you, and you see rocks tumbling down. Now, where your pack animals and where your singular animals are walking, there is no flat ground. They're crawling over rocks, abutments. There are places for you to hide, but it looks like these small creatures are trying to remove large boulders to make tons and tons of blue sand rain down upon you, spilling you over the cliff down into the blue ocean below you, hundreds of feet. So, everyone, grab your dice, and you're going to need to make reaction rolls.
16.
10.
Uh, 11.
Okay. 16. Let's go with them, and I'll give them a roll. 11. 11. Who had a 16?
I had a 16.
Cool, sweet.
Randomly.
Okay.
I rolled a 10.
In short, you have very few options. Your animals are very agile, although not very quick. You can climb up the ridge towards these feral bestial animals. You estimate their numbers at around 6 or so, and you see them using sticks and small sharpened stones, almost like knives, and they're poking and prodding at large boulders above you, and it looks as if they dislodge a large boulder, behind it tons and tons of blue sand will spill down on top of you. You can make your way above you. You can try to quote-unquote run ahead, or you can try to make your way and try to back up, which would be very difficult for you. And you may even try to go down the side of these sheer cliffs, hoping that the animals hold on, but you're not sure of their reaction.
Okay, so my question is, based on how fast I've gauged my animal thus far, how long would it take that animal to ascend that cliff?
You feel that you would be able to ascend it before they've completed their task.
Okay, because I don't feel comfortable down here. Now, let's say I run forward. How fast, how wide are they along this cliff, such that, like, I'm trying to figure out, like, which seems better. I guess if I'm thinking in the moment, I do kind of want to, like, ride, since I know these beasts aren't fast, but they're quick, and I can get up to these creatures. And how level is that cliff that they're on?
It looks like they are on a level abutment, almost like the edge of a pedestal sink, and they are chipping away at the edge of this, what seems like what I'm describing as a pedestal sink. It is a abutment that stretches out, and they are trying to break it so that it falls down.
Okay, I look back and I see all of Emily's kids, and I think, oh shit, they can't defend themselves. I got to do something about this. So Evel heroically directs his animal to ride up the side of the cliff in an attempt to get on the same even surface that these small creatures are on. And that'll be my move action, and I don't know if it'll take another move action to get all the way up, but let me know.
I'll let you make the move action, and then I'll allow it to go all the way around, finding everyone's actions first, and then we'll come back.
That's a good idea. I like that.
Cool. So your animal, everyone sees you. Your animal literally like a lizard climbing a sheer surface, hand and feet, one by one, is putting its claws and into the rock and climbing up the surface. So much so that you are riding it. I'm
hanging on as he climbs up.
Yes.
Like,
you are not flat.
I look terrified for anyone's reference, but I think this is the right choice, so he's doing it.
Yes, you are. If you let go, you will literally slide off the tail end of this giant lizard and fall to your death, essentially.
Oh shit! All right, fuck it, let's go.
Okay, who's next? Somebody got a 11 or 12?
I have a 14 actually. I forgot to add
14?
in my light bonus. Yeah. So
Cool.
I have a 14. Now, I want to make sure I understand. First of all, how many of these little creatures did you say there were?
About 6 of them.
I can see 6 of them, and they're above us. Now, they are. I want to know. Basically, for what you said, it seems like it's going to be very, very hard. It'd be very dangerous for us to just run away and retreat. Because that's my
one of you could retreat, and you could turn around and go back the other way, but it would leave half of your party essentially directly underneath this trap.
So if we go forward, though, quickly, we might put ourselves out of the range of this. Do I think that? Yeah.
On an individual basis, you're pretty certain that you can outrun this.
All right. So I'm gonna make my way up and further away from them. I definitely don't want to be in the line of a trap. I'm gonna do that, and I would like to, when you say when we resolve our move actions first, so I'm moving up and away from them. I have a ranged attack I'd like to use against them when that time comes.
Okay.
So you tell me whenever you want to do that. And I will move up and away on my amphibious beast as quickly as I can.
You got it. I think there was some. Did Tulloch? Did your character have a 11 or 12?
I rolled a 10.
10. Okay. Someone goes on 11. Ebele, he notices the spilling of blue sand and dust coming from above, and looks up, and he's like, "Oh no!" And he looks at his family, and he gives them some kind of a hand signal of sorts, and instead of running, he actually gives his family an order, and you see he jumps off of the lizard and hangs on, climbing underneath it, and he grabs the lizard's reins, and it starts to turn into a ball, essentially like an armadillo, and starts to turn into a little ball.
So he's climbing the cliff by hand?
No. He stops.
Okay.
And slides off the saddle and gets underneath the animal.
Oh, I see. That's a good idea.
And pulls his animal's reins, like kind of pulls it down as if it's been trained to do it, and it pulls onto the rock and surrounds his body.
Okay.
And his children follow suit, sliding off of the saddles and holding on to the underside of the animal's necks and pulling the reins, and then the animals start to curl up into a ball, pulling its arms and legs together and just wrapping itself around a rock, just one small rock, and their bodies underneath it. Tulloch, what would you like to do?
Well, obviously this Californ knows the beast more than I do, with 0 grades in handle animal and even 0 grades in ride. I just look up in fear and without any thought on my traveling companions, I don't know, punch the beast to make it go faster, or try with my meager skills of knowing how animals behave, try to make it go forward so I can dodge this avalanche of sand. Like, forward! Just punch it on its back and side, but forward, damnable beast!
All right. Above you, these feral goblins are twittering to themselves. They're just like going back and forth like a giant rats almost, and you can hear them chipping away at the rock, just and one boulder falls, another boulder falls, and then tons and tons of sand break away these rocks and just start spilling down the side of the mountain, almost like an avalanche or a waterfall, but instead of water, it's just nothing but sand and dust, as if tons are pouring out of the back of imagine the 50 tons pouring out of the back of a large dump truck and just pouring down the side of this mountain. And it starts to as it starts to pour, it starts to pick up speed. And we're going to go to Wendell's character.
I thought I could get up there before they actually could dislodge it. So that's not going to happen. Alright, fuck. Alright, so I'm going to jerk on the lizard thing's reins so that he starts to go into a horizontal movement to try to like get out of the wave, sort of like how a surfer would like surf through the arc of a wave. So like as it's going down, I'm trying to like ride underneath that gap that's quickly closing, while hanging on to the lizard in an attempt to actually now that I realize that I don't have enough time to actually get up there, he's going to try to outrun it as best he can, holding on for dear life. So that's going to be my other movement. Unless you're gonna let me take my other action to not do that, since you know.
No, I'll let you. If you're going to make an attack action or something like that, I'll let you do it.
Oh no, I mean that was my intention, but once the thing starts falling, I'm not gonna be able to get up there, am I?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So like once he realizes that he can't get up there in time, he's gonna turn full stop and try to dart forward, sort of in the same direction that that Idalet is moving in, but he's along the cliff wall. So what he's thinking is that if I can stay underneath the wave of sand, I can keep myself safer than if I was at the bottom of the pit. So that's my plan.
Absolutely. You can actually find safety underneath it, almost like finding a safe place under a waterfall.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can find
that's
it.
That's what I'm trying to do. He's fucking screaming at this point how scared he is.
Okay. Qua?
Now, to where I've gotten and where they're just lodging it, you said it doesn't look like it's going to be falling on top of me.
Correct.
All right, so I have a headband on, and I quickly untie my headband. I kind of put myself a bit of a side saddle on the amphibian as we're going up, and I attach the long leather thong headband to the top of my quarterstaff from a very, very small indentation from it, and I load it up with rocks, and I begin to twirl around, and I'm going to sling a projectile at these creatures.
See if you hit one. Roll the dice. Try to beat an 8.
Okay, I don't think that's going to be a problem. I seem very talented at using the staff sling. So that's going to be a. I'm sorry, this is very unorganized in my stuff here. That's going to be a.
You're fine.
That's going to be a 15 to hit. And you said I needed an 8, so I will also boost once on them. And since you give me stagnant difficulty, I'm going to guess that they are extras. And
yes,
very, very dead.
Oh yes.
Damage addicted.
You actually swing the staff around and toss a small sling rock, and it's not even looking at you. It's going about its business, smacks one in the back of the head, and its buddy looks at him as he starts to fall backwards and tries to grab him, and two of them fall. One dead, skull crushed, blood splatters, and his friend is like, ah! He goes to grab his partners, its buddy in crime, and goes to grab him and tumbles down this blue tidal wave of blue sand that's just pouring down this cliffside, and falls, both their bodies, one dead, one screaming, falls right past you down to the ocean sandy floor, and is lost inside of this. After hitting the sides 2 or 3 times, is lost inside of a pile of sand and lost it in the distance.
I smile openly at my performance, holding my staff sling in my hand.
Completely unaware that you would actually have the audacity to attack them back. Who else would like to take an action?
Right now, I think my character is probably occupied, trying to remain alive. So I don't think I'm going to take an action because I don't think it would be appropriate.
Is it possible to get within melee range of them?
Yes, you want to. You absolutely. Once you urge the I'm speaking to. You urge your dinosaur lizard into action. It literally just starts scrambling forward. You gave it, smacked it, and it knows it's in danger, and it just scrambles ahead. You are completely out of range of being piled on with sand. I mean, you're out of range. If you'd like to take any other action going back, you do know that the other members of the party, Calfar and his kids, have pulled themselves into like these little protective orbs, and now they're getting covered with this blue sand, piles and piles and piles of it, till you can't see them any longer, and you're unsure whether they're actually going over the edge or they're still where they were supposed to be. There's so much sand.
Something like mystically or magically?
No, nothing magical at all. This is a completely other than it being blue, it's a completely natural effect. There's nothing. No.
I have no way of making my rideable beast do that thing, that trick which is did to them, and I have utterly no concern for their safety. So when I am safe out of range, I can see, yeah, how many are there in front of us, or at least in front of me.
They have not blocked your path at all. They are above you, and it seems that they've set up a kind of a trap, or maybe they've known you were coming. But the sand and the spilling of the sand on top of you seems to be a wholly natural effect that you happen to be by, and
creatures are there?
4 of them, and they are distance-wise, they are behind you and above you.
So long as I know that I am beyond this sand trap and there is some standable footing for me, I will dismount, looking at the nearest one while I grab a wicked-looking sickle from my belt. Looking at it. Oh, you try to kill me, will you? We'll see about that. As I advance towards it.
Okay.
Alright,
Grab
so
some dice, please.
An attack roll.
at this point, oh no, never mind. Let him go.
Okay. Come on, seriously. Damn it.
A 12 for my attack roll. Will I be able to hit it?
I'm sorry, did I miss? Did I?
Well, I rolled for attack and I said I got a 12 to hit.
A 12? Okay. Oh, cool. You when you turn and pull your sickle, you see 2 of them fall from the sky. One whose head has blood flowing from it. His friend falls after him, screaming. There are 4 that are up there, essentially pushing rocks out of the way so the sand tumbles upon them. The one closest to you, not even looking at you, his friend points directly in your face, like, ah! And he's like pointing like, there he is, ah! Doesn't see you. Your sickle smacks him right in the spine and breaks a rib or 2 and then gets caught in his spine as you pull it from its perch. It's only about 4 feet tall, but it's like wide and smells of decay and old vegetation, and it falls off the cliff, falls to its death with leaving some kind of weird inky blood on the point of your sickle. And there's 3 others there that are like pointing at you, scared. They have claws and bone knives.
All right, so at this point, it's probably like completely not apparent where Evil is, but you hear like ah, and you notice that Evil and his lizard were nearly like swept off the path and into the blue sea, but they're holding on. Evil's holding on to the tail of the lizard, and the lizard's holding on to the edge cliff, and Can I take an action to climb back up so I get on even ground, or the sandy? It'd be covered in sand at this point, so it'll probably be somewhat difficult. But yeah, I'm gonna try to climb back on and just get to relative safety.
Oh, absolutely. You have every opportunity to do that.
All right, I'm gonna do that, and I guess that'll be my turn, because that'll take some time.
Okay. Qua.
Yes.
There are 3. You've dispatched 2. You see Tulloch is turned around and in a blind rage, almost hacked one in half from the top to bottom, and tosses its dead body off the side of the cliff. And there are 3 others. You can see that they're pointing at you and the other one wildly, and although they are feral, you can tell they have no interest in wanting to actually fight you. They haven't left yet, but they have every intention of trying to run and hide and climb above and hide their way amongst the rocks and outcroppings that are here, very much like what you would imagine the Grand Canyon, cliffs of the Grand Canyon would look like.
Do they speak any coherent language? That seems
No.
like a language. Okay.
No, not at all. It almost seems it's almost guttural.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'll hit another one. There's obviously plenty of rock here to replenish my reserve. If I can, I'm going to move a little further away and unleash some sling stones from my staff sling to their heads, if possible.
Oh, please.
Thank you. Oh, wow, yeah. I definitely hit him. I can calculate it out for you, but I rolled a 6 and a 7, so.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Much worse roll.
Yeah, absolutely. You actually have time to kind of gauge how far away they are. Pause long enough. Toss the stone. One of them, they're climbing, trying to climb up the rocks, and like crabs in a barrel, they're pushing each other out of the way. And one looks directly at you, and bam, square in the eye. Boom, breaks its nose. Blood starts pouring out. It takes its claws off of the rocky wall to hold its face, which is the wrong thing to do, and it tumbles forward into this dusty land fill that's falling down this cliffside, and its screams get swallowed up as it falls past you, tumbles past a rock, tumbles past your caravan into down the cliffside, and dies, or hopefully dies. And Tulloch.
Are there any more of them left, or was that the last of them?
2. If they wore pants, they would be shitting them right now.
Well, looking towards them, they're black, filthy blood on my sickle already. I walk towards them. Oh, you dare attacking me! You will regret this.
Do you have any kind of what is your presence, or do you have any intimidation or anything? I think
I do not
asked
have
that
any
before.
ranks in intimidation, but I do have +2 for presence rolls, and if
Wow,
it would
okay.
matter, a grade of attractive.
They, despite their instinct to cut tail and run, they stand paralyzed in front of you. They're essentially 4 their buddies just were dispatched in an instant, and those 2 are just looking at you with their talons. One's got its talons out, the other has a bone knife in its hand, and it's like they're both backing away from you, backing against the wall of the cliff face where they're located at, and they're just like and they're just like both trying to push the other one in front of itself, and then the other one grabs the other one and pushes him in front so that he dies and the other one can run away. But they're both pushing and pulling each other so much that they're kind of in this weird panicky dance of who gets to get killed first. Please roll to hit one of them.
Oh, wow. A 14 to hit. So I just
Oof.
walk
Ooh.
forward and it's a competition. I say, muttering to myself as I slash in from below upwards with my sickle to the closest one of them.
Um, you slice it with its sickle, uh, and slice it in half, seeing the scared, wild eyes of its friend right behind it. And as he sees his friend's body sliced in half and his entrails splattered across the cliffside, face in front of him, and his legs standing there quivering and its upper body falling to the ground, still shaking and still trying to hold its hands in front of its face as it's still dying from its spasm, and the other one just has its hands up and is like and goes to try to stab you. I'm gonna roll some dice.
I
And,
rolled
oh wow!
to evade, I assume. Or did it
Oh
fail?
no! Oh no!
um,
Did you
I
roll?
roll a 1 and a 4.
Oh no!
I think even the weakest member of the group would not be hit by that. But please roll your defense.
Well, 6 and a 8 and a 3. Plus
Wow.
my already
Um,
existing 2 in defense. So,
he feebly tries to stab you, slashing in the air with its bone knife, and tripping over its own legs as to wanting to both stab you and get out of the way, but scared of the flesh and debris left of its friend's body on your sickle as it swings past its head as he tries not to get his friend's entrails on his own face. Jeez. Okay. Evil.
All right. So as the thing's backing up, he's obviously completely terrified now that he's the only one left.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so Evil's just climbed out of off the cliff. He's covered in blue sand. He looks completely distraught. He's heaving because he's just had this near-death experience. And so the goblin will find himself backing up, but not closer towards the cliff. He's going to be backing up towards Evil. And when he does,
Okay.
everyone's gonna see a very different side of Evil. You see all of the fear and terror that was on his face just like quickly shift to absolute fury. And so you see him bring his foot up and try to like stomp his foot straight through the goblin's head. And he does this with like a particularly unusual amount of strength, considering that he doesn't carry any weapons and he seems to be completely unarmed and harmless. So I'm gonna roll a brawl,
Okay.
and he has martial arts, so it's gonna be a thing.
Oh, sweet.
All right. Oh, so I rolled it. You re-roll 8s, right? Is that how it works?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Unless
So
you rolled a 1.
So 8, 3. No, I rolled 8 and a 3. So we roll 8, 3.
Oh,
So that's 11 plus 4 is 15 plus 3 for brawl. Actually plus. Oh crap! So it's like you rolled like 15 plus 8. So it's like what is that? 23. So that boosts 5. So it's like I don't know how much that boosted. I assume it's dead. So I'm gonna. So he brings his foot straight through the goblin's head. The goblin's face. He's standing completely up. He's obviously in a defensive posture, and you see his face come straight down into the hard-packed blue sand. You see his skull just crush and splatter. Just black ink is now covered on Evil's leg, and Evil's still breathing hard, and he's looking down at the dead goblin with a look of still just completely furious.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
And he just and then he falls back and he just falls back on his butt. And then he looks behind him and he realizes his back is still to a cliff, and then he like gets terrified again, crawls forward, breathing hard, hyperventilating, obviously not used to situations like this.
Okay. You just, I mean, execute
He's
I mean,
gone.
technical wise, you execute a perfect move. Maybe even your own character is just amazed by it. But yes, you are feet away from death from a natural disaster, and you see. Yes, dispatch the creatures. The sand eventually stops. You gather that these nasty little goblinoid creatures use these little pockets of natural sand deposits to just dump travelers or animals or something like that down into the blue ocean, or just to knock them off balance and then kill them later. They had no intention of fighting you in open combat at all. And now that they're dispatched and the sand has stopped, you realize that there is motion from the others that stopped and protected themselves in the rocks on the side of the cliff face. And the first one to come out is the daughter, who's got a cloak on, and she's rubbing sand out of her face, and it seemed as if she just put herself right into the between a rock and one of the lizards and stayed underneath it. Unfortunately, they didn't tell you that something like this would happen, but 4 members of the party are still around. Their lizards are around, Ebely's around, his 2 sons and the daughter, and they're still
Evelyn's
there.
like still breathing hard. He's panting. He's like, "Why didn't you give us one of those?"
And Ebely says, I'm sorry, my friend.
I almost died. What's wrong with you?
I walk up behind him, my eyes harden, obviously quite angry that I as well could be killed, and I let him do the talking, but I stand there just glaring and kind of allowing my slightly, canine teeth to show, and a scowl of disgust and quite a bit of anger towards them for the audacity of not teaching us what to be done here, as they've obviously been here many times and seen this before.
Yeah, I also glare towards Evelyn, sitting right next to the corpse of a disemboweled goblinoid, still blood on the sickle, breathing, looking at it, looking at him, looking at it, looking at him.
He looks at all of you. He says, look, I am so sorry. This was not supposed to happen here. I was promised that we would not be attacked. I just
promised by whom?
There are more riches along as we travel to the Hanging City. If I could just show you, please don't. Please, this is very important to me and my family. I'm so sorry. I will.
Well, I look at him and say, riches are no good if you are dead.
This is true. You have not disclosed information that we need. Information is a vital commodity in this world in which we live. You must tell us true, and not leave us in a position where your lies may lead to the extinction of our lives. I do not.
You gotta tell us this stuff. You
at
can't
all
keep this thing away from us.
None of us do.
I'm sorry, my companions, but this is information that is vital to the survival of my family. These passes, I know these passes. I know what happens here. I'm just not used to sharing that information. It is. I cannot apologize more.
Who are we going to tell about
Please
this?
don't.
We're out here alone. We don't have anybody to talk to it about. Tell us what we need to know to stay alive. Very simple. It's a matter of common decency.
Yes, and if
And-
we are to perish, then you wouldn't be paying any wages. Is that your particular idea here? Like you robbed the poor stone brain, you would believe to leave us skeletal bones to be picked over by the goblins? Is that what you were thinking?
No, 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 not at all.
No.
If I could deal with them as a businessman, I would have, but there was nothing I could do. If please
leave
let me show
No
you.
word of warning, not one word of warning. I rumble into Hooligan. You would leave us here to be picked over by them and by vultures and all the such things that fly from the air and to be devoured by the worms of Tahul itself? You have
Neville can't understand what he's saying, but he's nodding. He's like, yeah.
Um,
Hey, look
he
at Carl,
grabs
he's
the
finally talking.
he grabs the
ends this journey, nodding, utterly frustrated with the situation, not being a fighter per se, but still handy with a blade. But this was not what I signed up for.
he rather dramatically and somewhat cowardly grabs one of his kids in front of him and hugs them tightly, and he's like, I am their father. They cannot survive without me. You wouldn't kill me in front of them, would you? This is not something that civilized people would do. And
Only you? Of course
his
not.
son is like trying to push him off of him, like Dad, please get off of me. This has happened so many times, and he's like, no, please, and he reaches in his pouch, he grabs his pouch and pulls out these silver coins, with sharp points on the ends like diamonds, and he says, you can have all of this. And I don't know, there's maybe 20 or 30 pieces in his hands. He didn't count it.
I like silver.
I don't want your silver. I just want to live through this. So
I want your silver,
make sure you
but I
tell
want
us
you
this
to
next
do it
time.
too.
He just casually just takes his hand and grabs the pouch and just hands it to you, Qua. He just gives it to you. He has no interest in wanting to fight at all.
Oh, very good, very good. This is good. I thought I was going to need to approach your wagons and begin to select items of recompense for the agony you have put me through. But I suppose this bounty of silver will suffice. I have a silver necklace on too, and I kind of pull at it. Here, I suppose that I should split this with you, Tolek. I suppose that is what he had meant to do. Seeing as our other companion clearly does not wish to be paid in silver.
You
I
think
wish
well?
to
You
be
think
paid, but I just want to be paid
almost
at the end of this
amused
journey.
and a bit joking, but not entirely. I tell Coin to Julian, is this the point where we push him off the edge now that we have his money?
No,
But
later.
only slightly
Whoa,
jokingly.
whoa, hey. No, we're not
Only
gonna.
slightly
This
joking.
guy has a family. What are you talking about?
Well, he was just about
He
to
says-
kill us and them.
Doesn't mean we do the same thing.
He says, there is one more thing that I think will appease all of you. Please, I must show you.
Yes. Show us.
Just-
Show us what this thing that will appease us from the perhaps near loss of our lives might be. Oh, by the way, I make sure to short the pharam on the payoff. In the process, I definitely going to short him. He's going to get maybe a third. You know, they said it was 20 or 30, but if it was 30, I'm getting 20. He's getting 10. You know, as I'm pulling things, moving things around, shaking the bag, and I get his coins out. Here you
Got
are. And the
Got it.
confusion, I take advantage of the confusion for my own end.
Hey, I'm
I
gonna say
also,
this in Andrew, what is your character? What language is it? Do I know your character name? Is it Moolish?
Smile.
I speak Moolish. I think is the only one common with you.
Okay, well,
I speak
he's gonna say
Moolish,
he's gonna.
Julian, Dazazays, and
I can speak both
Well,
Moolish and Turulian, but I
Okay.
take the third of the money you give me, but nodding like I thought that was the correct amount of money. Yes.
Alright, so he says to Moolish in the,
when I
in the,
smile
the
and
kitchen.
definitely reinforce that is correct, but subtly, like it's not even needing to be brought up. As I walk away with a fat pocket of coin.
He follows he follows Qua. He says, "Hey, look, are we gonna really do the division of our payment right now? We're covered in blue sand. Look,
Yes.
let's calm down.
Yes, and
I
I
do
am
want
covered
my
in blood as
he,
well.
he gets really close to Qua, and he's like, I do want my payment. I just don't think right now is appropriate. So
Sure.
keep that in mind before you decide to go around spending that silver.
Well, if you wish,
We will say, okay, your payment, but which kill was yours?
I got that one. He
Yes,
looks. He points to the one that doesn't have a head anymore.
Ah.
and I say to you, I say, well, very well. I have a third of the silver I have, and a third of the silver that Tulloch has is, by all just rights, yours if you wish it. You said you didn't wish it, though, so I'm speaking.
I do wish it. I just don't think right now is the appropriate a size. These are all right. Just give me my silver.
Oh, I didn't really have very much sand on me, so I didn't. And I thought always the right time to venture into a situation is when you have the upper hand, and it seemed we did in the anger of Thelic. So coins were paid, emotions soothed, and we prosper. And again, of course, I make sure to fuck the human on the deal. I don't know if Thelic gives him the alleged, Tolik, I mean, gives him the alleged third of his coins as well. But yeah, you get a few from me. We'll put it that way.
My character is trusting to a fault, so he's gonna just take it.
That's
so
a bad
beside
thing.
himself.
I gotta give more respect for the human when he showed me the kill he made, but oh, you're good for something, obviously.
Hey,
then
I've done. I'm sure I've helped more people with my.
The coin, maybe one coin less than what it should be, and drop them into your hand. Like, yeah, I got the better deal now.
There you are. Now we're all good friends, and I'm speaking all quite well, appointed to each other, and everything is fine. I suppose we'll go on to see this whatever it is that our master merchant wishes us to see. And then I changed to the merchant. Well, please, now that
sorry,
he takes what he's given, and
he really is quite happy to have you guys argue amongst yourself, as long as he's not the center of attention, because he knows he really soured this trip, but he's very eager to want to show you what's around the corner.
Yes,
quite eager.
Yes, we shall see.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a restroom break.
To this entire scene.
We shall see this splendor you seem to be speaking of, Master Merchant, so that we may gain a knowledge and understanding of the interesting points and places of this strange mountainous world that you have drug us to.
Okay. He decides to take point, gets on his riding animal, gets on it, and he says, please follow me, and not very quickly to outrun you, but he decides to go ahead to show you what it was. And he says, ahead, please, we'll come to the Hanging City, and believe me, when you see this, you will be amazed. This is where legends are made. And so you travel along this rocky path on this outcropping, and you turn a bend, and it's almost, you see what looks to be a dragon the size of a mountain. It is thousands of feet tall. Its face is in the clouds. Its jagged teeth are in the air, and it breathes. It looks like it's breathing smoke and fire that is hundreds of feet tall. And then you realize it's not a dragon at all. You see what looks like a mountain range. As you turn a bend, there's a cleft in the mountain range. It is actually a mountain that has been eaten away, and giant stalagmites and stalactites are hanging from the bottom of this mountain range. So large that it looks like the teeth of a dragon. The top of its head looks like where the horn of the dragon's jaw would be, and where its eyes would be, or is actually clouds as the clouds flow past the top of the mountain. And the bottom of this mountain range is nothing but an open space with jagged rocks that stretch high into the air, but they don't meet the jagged rocks that are hundreds of feet long hanging above it, almost as if the blood of Ishmi flowed across this mountain range and ate away at the bottom of it so that there's a jagged mouth. And as you look closer, you realize that there is a city within the mouth of this dragon, and it is called the Hanging City of Kryn. And you see there are ropes, there are walkways, there are rope bridges between the teeth. You can see there are windows inside of these stalagmites and stalactites so that there are people living in and amongst this area. And the jaw of this, what looks like a beast and really is just a mountain, blue sand pours out of its mouth as the wind blows it into the bottom portion of the mountain, and it spills out again. And you realize that this is a hidden area that this Kalfar has been dealing with for many, many generations. And he's picking up the business here. There does not look to be any pathways to get to this city except down the side of this mountainside. And he says, that is the Hanging City of Kryn, the dragon's mouth. Evel, when you spoke to the dwarf, you get the impression that this is what he meant about the ogre living in the dragon's mouth.
And this is someone to beware of. So I'm going to actually, nobody else was in that conversation, so I'm going to mention the fact that the hermit pharam in the cave warned me about this place, and that apparently there's that ogre king who lives within, who's someone to be feared. I'm going to ask, specifically, I'm going to approach Ebele with this information and ask him what he knows about it.
He says, now, before you panic, this is a city where the pilgrims have come. There's a king that lives here, and people who strive for a greater understanding of the divinity live here and amongst the people. Those who are higher in stature live in the city above, and those that are, shall we say, the underlings, the servants, they live in the jaw, or below, in the dragon's mouth. Strange sight to see. And
who will we be trading with? The underlings or the ones above?
Well, to be honest with you, the king prevents me from trading with those below, but I still do so. Just to be honest with you, I trade with all comers, and there are people who are suffering. They've just come here for enlightenment, and they are being used as slave labor and being used as pawns in a game. I don't wish to be part of that. I just bring my small gifts to people and make their day and their lives that much better.
So you mean you make the lives of those who have so much better, but leave all the rest to fend for themselves?
I'm no hero. I'm just glad that you travelers were able to come with me along. Otherwise, who knows what would have happened with my family? I know this is the end. We're at cycle's end, but still, there are many things here that most people have never seen before, and I could never explain to them what it was. So,
it is quite a sight to see. That is sure. That is for sure.
Yes. Just to let you know, the size and scope of what you're seeing is immense. These what looks like the open mouth of a dragon looks like the bottom end of a mountain was eaten away by acid and erosion, and a giant city was made inside. You're thinking maybe a couple of hundred people could probably live in this area, but you're not sure why anybody would want to live hanging off the bottom side of a mountain. But that will be determined. I am going to pause the game at this moment. I wasn't sure how many sessions we're going to do, but I will have to end it at this point. And the next game will be, this one's called At Cycle's End, the Hanging City of Krynn, and we will actually go into the city.
Sounds good. I had a great time.
Yeah,
Cool. I'm still a little rusty with the rules and such, but glad you guys could join. A little nervous.
Same here, man.
All right, very good. And before I hit the stop broadcast button, a big thanks to all the audience out there in Barbarian Horde watching us, supporting Within the Ring of Fire. Get your deep immersion on. Go pick up your book, 77 Thrones, the Theological Codex, Saga book. Pay one, come hit up your main man and get your PDF copy of Monsters and Men for Within the Ring of Fire. Follow your main man, _RPG on Twitter. Hit me up on Facebook. And join Raw Immersive Games on Facebook as well. Check out DBJ's site as well. DBJ, make sure you leave a little comment on the video here so that they can all come hit that nice and easy. And I think come subscribe to you and watch the videos as well. There's a lot of great stuff for this channel. Go check that out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I run a play-by-post role play called Sigil, the City Adores on Gaia Online. I'll post a link after we close the session. But yeah, it's a play-by-post game. This is my first time ever playing like a live role play or anything. So like, but I had a great time. So I enjoy it. But if you'd like to come see what the play-by-post role play is about, yeah, come check it out. We'd love to have you.
I'm sure no one would have noticed that one. We definitely did an impressive job. I picked up some people from play-by-post games that have done very well, and you definitely want to go check it out too. We have the post here, probably next 20 minutes. So if you're looking right now, come back and take a look at the video then, and you can go check out the as well.
Oh, Christopher, got anything to add? Where? Is he still there?
Yeah. Elias?
All right.
Yeah.
He just said, do you have anything to add?
Oh, he also said Christopher. I didn't react.
Sorry.
That's what it says on your screensaver. I knew what your name was, though. So.
We don't have anything to add on our YouTube channel, but I am frequently on the Raw Immersive Games Facebook page and often discuss topic about the game and other games when it happens. So happily talk about role-playing games over there.
Great. Cool. Well, thank you for watching, guys. We're going to broadcast now. We're going to be back next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Is that right, DBJ?
That is correct.
That's okay. So you can come follow us session 2 next week. Tune in, watch, leave your comments, let us know what you think. Leave your comments here on Raw Immersive Games. And as always, thank you for watching. I am now forever your main man, and we'll see you guys later.